Hey, Pastor Clark with Coffee Creek Church, and thanks so much for joining me today. We are in the third week of our series, Thanks in All Things. And I'm really glad that you've joined me for this because I think today is going to be a really great teaching, especially if you want to learn kind of how to connect all these things that we've started talking about through this series that we're not talking. I want to be just very explicit at the beginning here. We're not talking about being thankful for all things because some things are not great that happen in our life, right? And so this series is very specifically about giving thanks in all things. And that's a different way of thinking about it. And that's what we've been exploring. And so today, I want to just jump right in with you. I think one of the things I love to do and hate to do is go to Costco or Sam's or any big box store like that. I don't shop a lot anymore now that delivery services have just exploded. But every time I go into Costco, I have in mind I'm looking for two to three things and should be about $25 total. And how is it that when I'm checking out, I can barely, I'm scared I'm not going to fit it all in my trunk. And I'm like, is there a loan I can take to pay for all this stuff? Like every single time. I don't know what they do to you there, but there's some way that they have figured out if we can just get them into the store, they're going to leave with a lot more than they planned on. Sometimes the holidays can feel like that, can't they? Like you start off with like very minimalistic and simplistic themes, and you're like, okay, what do you want for Christmas? Nothing, just you. I love you. And what do you need? Oh, I don't need anything. We have everything we need. And then all of a sudden, the sale ads come out, and it's Black Friday and Cyber Monday, and the deals are too good. And oh, they would just love this. And then, oh, we need stocking stuffers, and oh, we need batteries for the stocking stuffers. And all of a sudden, we look at the calendar like, well, at least we'll keep that simple. And then, oh no, there's like 10 things to go to at the school. And oh no, the church is adding 40 things for us to do. And oh no, there's still sports going on. And oh no, oh, that movie's coming out and that special concert. And all of a sudden, every workplace and every family is doing extra, extra, extra in that 4 week period before Christmas. And it's just like, there's no peace. You can't find peace. And so I wonder what if the most countercultural thing we could do this Christmas would be to not buy more as Christmas approaches, to not put more on the calendar, but to learn contentment. And if that contentment would be the secret to us practicing generosity, what if this is the Thanksgiving secret? That contentment is what helps us practice generosity, experience joy, and give thanks in all things. That's my contention, is that contentment frees us to be generous, which frees us to be happier, frees us to love the things in our life already, and to express that towards others. And that's what I want to talk about today, is this idea that it's difficult to be content in our world. And there's actually, everything's against you. If you want to be content, good luck, right? Everything is against you. Your phone, you need the latest one. Your car is going to break down, so you need the latest one. Uh, they don't make appliances to last. When I was a kid, like those ugly appliances and just whatever that burnt orange color was and that like puke green color that everybody had growing up, or that yellow, that mustard yellow, gross. Those things lasted like 40 years. My grandparents were still using a fridge like had that little lever you pull back to get the door open. Just insanely old stuff that was meant to last forever. And now it's like, I had a guy come out and work on our refrigerator that is like, I don't know, 11 years old at this point. And he was like, yeah, I can patch it for now. But he's like, if this really goes out, this ice thing goes out, like it's not worth fixing. Just get a new one. And I'm like, what? This whole huge appliance needs to come out of the house, and a whole new huge appliance needs to go in its place. And I need to just replace it because it's not doing ice correctly. He's like, yeah. He's like, it's more expensive now to get the labor and the parts to repair all of that. So I think that is just wild. And that leads us down paths that are not very helpful to being content. The holidays, as I've mentioned in this series, intensify feelings, intensify songs, intensify kind of unspoken needs, requests, the perfect gift, the quest for that. And so we anchored to joy last week. We talked about being anchored to joy. And the way to do that is to anchor ourselves to Jesus, right? That is tied to Jesus, not stuff, not feelings, not experiences, because those things are all over the board. You're going to get the right gift one year, and you're going to need gift receipts next. It's just the way it is. You're going to feel good about Christmas one year, and the next year you're going to feel bleh. It's just the way it goes. But here's the deal. Today, I want us to give a path for our joy, a direction for our joy. And contentment is one that is a great path because it takes our joy and stretches it, makes it last longer, and ultimately leads us to this end goal of generosity. And the cool thing about the cycle of generosity and joy and contentment, the thing that leads to is it's a cycle. You can repeat it infinitely. Your whole life, all the life you have left on this planet, you can repeat that over and over and over. If you're anchored to Jesus, you have got a pattern. And so it's like you don't have to reinvent the wheel on what's going to make this perfect holiday season, what's going to make this happy this year, what's going to make my friends happy, my family happy. Where does joy come from? Like, this is a pattern you can repeat. And so that's what I want to dive into with you. Philippians 4:11, Paul has a beautiful teaching here in the New Testament where he teaches about contentment and about times of plenty. And so let me read that text to you. Philippians 4:11 says, "Not that I was ever in need, for I have learned how to be content with whatever I have. I know how to live on almost nothing or with everything. I've learned the secret of living in every situation, whether it is with a full stomach or empty, with plenty or little. For I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength." Now, if you've been around the Christian world very much, you've heard Philippians 4:13 a lot. I can do everything through Christ who gives me strength. People will jump out of a treehouse and see if they can break their arm or jump off a roof, right? And say, I can do everything. Ah! And they detach it from the context here. Paul was saying, I'm not saying that I can fly like a bird, not saying I can do everything, but he's saying being content is everything. He's like, look, I can be content on a full stomach or an empty stomach. Whether I have everything or almost nothing at all. That's doing everything, he's saying, because Christ is the one who strengthens him to do that. So in context, that verse makes a lot of sense. Out of context, it's gotten some terrible applications over the years. Paul's point here was not that you're Superman and you can do everything, but Paul's point here was you can make it through everything life aims at you. Whether you feel destitute or you feel rich today, Christ will strengthen you to live outside of your current circumstances. And contentment is something that doesn't come natural, but that you can learn. And that's the cool thing. It's not like, when I watch NBA players and I'm like, well, goodness, they're 7 foot tall. No wonder they're good at basketball. And I envy them for their height or their speed or their youth. It's not that way. You can learn contentment. Contentment can be learned right now. We can do it right here. And you can start to practice it and put it on, and you can start to experience that joy and generosity that come with being content. Hebrews says it like this. Simple advice. Don't love money. You love money, you can't find contentment. So don't love it, but be satisfied with what you have. This, again, is another teaching on contentment. For God has said, I will never fail you. I will never abandon you. And that's the promise that ties in with this whole idea. Contentment is grounded in God's presence. Just like last week I talked about your joy is anchored in God as your refuge. Contentment is grounded in God's presence, not in your savings account, not in your power, not in your celebrity, not in whether people think you're awesome or not, or whether you look in the mirror and you're totally satisfied with everything. That's not contentment. Contentment is grounded in God's presence, not in external things. And so this is a plan for you. God will never fail you, never abandon you. And that is the foundation of trust, isn't it? That's where trust comes from. We're looking for that in people. We're looking for that in churches. We're looking for that in political organizations. We're looking for that in our government. We want something that will never fail us, that will never abandon us. And we are sorely disappointed time and time again with people and human things. But here's the thing. God will never fail you. He will never abandon you. He says that, and you can trust that. And this is how you learn to trust God, when you see that he never will fail you or never will abandon you. So planned generosity then flows from trusting God. And that's where contentment comes into play. That's how contentment flows into generosity. It helps us be generous because we are content. And this is why we do a Christmas offering. There's no pressure with our Christmas offering. There's just a plan. It's not an impulse. It's not We have to do this. It's not arm twisting. It's just, look, this is intentional. We want to be these kind of people. This is what it means to be a coffee creaker. And so Spurgeon said it this way. I think he really keyed in on this idea that contentment is learned behavior. He said contentment is not a natural propensity of man. What's natural? Covetousness, wanting stuff that other people have. Discontent, not being ever happy with what you have. Murmuring, grow naturally, he said. Contentment, on the other hand, is one of the flowers of heaven, he says. And if we would have it, it must be cultivated. Now, think about that. I am awful with planting things. My wife and my oldest son are the green thumbs. I cannot keep anything alive. And so they like to do that. And think about contentment like a flower. And I love that he likens it to a flower of heaven. It is a supernatural flower. Flowers, plants, I don't know anything about them, but I do know that they require sunlight, they require care, they require water, they often require fertilization to keep them going, and cultivation. And that is our job. And so he's saying, look, if you want contentment, you got to work for it a little bit. It's not easy. And that's why not everyone's content. And that's why few are content, is because even the people that say they believe in Jesus don't experience contentment if they don't cultivate it. Because covetousness, discontent, murmuring, complaining, blah, 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 negativity in general, that is the human default. Being content, as Paul was, seems supernatural to us, because to be happy with almost nothing, or to be the same kind of happy with everything, that's wild. And that's something that takes us anchoring in Jesus and asking for his help. So here's what I want to talk about practicing contentment. What does it mean to practice contentment? Well, maybe we first of all, like we started last week, we count our blessings. We start with that simple process, whether we write it down or think about it or just thank God once a week for that. And then after we move on from that, we say, okay, now knowing all those good things that are in my life, what could I do to bless someone else? Maybe what could I pass along that I no longer need, but sits on my shelf or in my garage? A few years ago, eBay did this thing to help nonprofits out, and we participated in it. And for our Christmas offering, people were going to eBay, and they were allowed to list things for, I think, for free or something. And I think now you can do that all the time, but back then you couldn't. And we had people selling stuff they didn't use anymore for part of their Christmas offering. It was awesome. People were telling me about stuff that was just sat in their garage forever. They didn't need. They didn't want to have a garage sale. They sold it on eBay, and eBay turned around and gave the profits to our Christmas offering. It was awesome. We partnered with a group that does cars. And we have had people donate cars, motorcycles, and I think like a trailer of some kind. This company, this is what they do all the time. They come out, they send. I donated a car once to Coffee Creek, and they came out and they picked that Kia up. I wasn't even there. I left the car keys in the seat, and they picked it up on a flatbed kind of trailer thing and hauled it off, sold it at auction, and 4 weeks later, Coffee Creek received a check. It was awesome. We've had people do that with cars, trucks, and motorcycles and the trailer. And so you can do that. People have done all kinds of things. Creek Kids a few years ago, those little mini M&M containers, how they're kind of like a tube looking thing. Somebody gathered a whole bunch of those. I think it was Jessica, and in our kids ministry, and had the kids collect coins, loose change they would find. And kids filled those things up and brought them to church for the Christmas offering. It was just awesome. There's just all kinds of different ways when you get creative and think about it. You could go right now into our app and schedule your Christmas gift. That way, emotion is not a part of it. It's not, if I think about it, your feelings don't drive it, but instead, you talk with your family about it. You talk with your kids about it. Like, this is who it's helping. This is why it matters. We're going to feed the homeless this year. And that's the thing. When you give to the Christmas offering at Coffee Creek, it goes for next year's stuff. So it's like for 2026. And so it's going to feed the homeless. It's going to provide resources for our Creek kids for fun activities and events and curriculum and the weekly classes. It's going to provide for our student ministry, our weekly student ministry, but also their mission trip in the summer. It's going to do outreach to those in our community that are without hope this Christmas. It's just huge what we're able to accomplish through the Christmas offering. And so, What if we could be a church where contentment is a theme for us? What if we could be a church where we understand that we are a conduit, not a container for God's goodness, but we want to be happy with those that are happy and weep with those that are weeping. We want to meet those needs. And the way that we do that is understanding that God's goodness and grace is not just for us, it's for other people. We want to be a place where his provision flows through us, doesn't stop. We're not a station where at the end of line. We are just a point where it flows through. The hungry are fed. Students grow to be more like Jesus. Neighbors that hit a rough patch have a place where they can know people are praying for them. A team called Coffee Creek where they can come and be safe and explore how to find real help. They know people are on their side. And these people are telling them a story that is consistent, that God is on their side too, that we're for them, and so is God. So that's my prayer for you, is that we would learn contentment. We would learn whether we have a lot or whether we are in want. God would free us. And in that freedom, he would lead us to generosity and the joy that comes from that. May God guide us in this Christmas offering commitment this week. Now, next week, we will continue on in this series. We'll close it out in week 4, and I'm super excited to kind of wrap it up about how we find that Thanksgiving joy and strength and support all in one. So I hope you'll join me for that next Sunday. Also, consider this week. This is kind of our crunch week. If you haven't heard yet, we were offered a match. And so through November 30th, which is the first Sunday of Advent, and we'll start our Christmas series that Sunday, we have a 1-to-1 match, which means if you give $1, it's matched for $1. You give $100, it's $100. You give $1,000, it will be $2,000. I'm sorry. You give 100, it's 200. You give 1,000, it's 2,000. It's going to be 1-to-1 match. So you will double your gift if you give to the Christmas offering by November 30th. You can do that simply at our website, coffeecreek.church. You just click the give button there, the donate links. You can go to our app, coffeecreek.app, give 24 hours a day. If you prefer to give in person, stop by anytime, drop your gift off as well. But this Christmas offering is crucial and key to what we're doing here at Coffee Creek. And if you want to partner with us and join that mission, we would love to have you, friend. Thanks so much for joining me today. Join us again next Sunday. We'll see you then. God bless.